Welcome everybody to another round of World of Tanks subscriber replays. My name as always is Maxwell, and today's first video is from the user Reset1101. That's Reset1101, and he's driving the T-44 on a standard battle on the Hidden Village. T-44 being a Tier 8 medium tank for the Russians. Just finished my T-44 grind up to the T-54. Gotta say that I did quite enjoy the T-44. Thought it was a pretty damn good medium tank. Nowhere near as good as the T-54, obviously, as the T-54 is pretty much the darling of the medium line. But this thing's still pretty damn good. So anyway, Reset's going to be heading to the center of the map. Not going to be taking the high road to the left or the low road to the right, or indeed going to the village where the fools go to die, but going to be heading to this central area instead. Going to take up position behind this rock here, so we see who he can spot out. Finds an IS-6, has a very quick snapshot because he figured that the IS-6 had probably been there a while and was well set up with his aim. So rushed his shot and it just went into the side of the hill. Going to change locations here and move across to the other side of this rock and see if he can get a different angle on the IS-6, but it looks like he's just dropped back now. Doesn't want any part of this fight, although the 3601 does, and he takes a good chunk of damage for his trouble. Stays out in the open, so Reset just sets himself up in a side scraping position. 3601 does return fire, but it only gets eaten by the tracks of Reset. And gonna stay in position here as that 3601 looked like he was gonna move back out, which he did, and he tries to return fire but hits the rock again. So this 3601's taken a good chunk of damage now, and he's just gonna have to stay where he is. If he pokes his head out anymore, he's gonna be in trouble. Although Reset's gonna have to pay some mind now to this left-hand side. As you can see, a couple of heavy tanks have pushed quite fast there, T-32 and IS-6, but gets himself into a position to get a shot on the rear of this IS-6 now. Still using this rock in front of him as cover from anybody who could try and get him from that position. Got to be careful now as this IS-6 is deciding to swing his gun on this location. So Reset again just uses the rock to his advantage. IS-6 swings all the way around and just plants one into the rock there. So a little bit of a rushed shot there, coming up a little bit foul. IS-6 looks like he's switching his attention to this M6. So Reset going to take this opportunity to fire at his lower glacis. Unfortunately, not really a weak spot on the IS-6. It has pretty formidable front armor. So Reset just changing his mind and shooting at the side of this T-32 instead. But I think eventually he's probably going to have to switch his aim to the IS-6 as he's taking out the T-32 now. But it looks like that M6 is actually able to finish off the IS-6 there. So good job by him. And that is this area completely overrun now. Unfortunately for the Allies, they are losing 7 kills to 4 at the moment. And that's just because the enemy teams concentrated most of their force on the village and on that lower flank there. But I think we're about to see why concentrating your forces in the village is never the right move, even when you win it convincingly. So Reset comes up against an M6 here. And he's just, he's going to have a pretty easy time of this, because let's be honest, the front armor of an M6 is okay. It's good at tier 6, but it's not really up to much scratch at tier 8. As you can see, Reset just prioritizing his target there, shooting at the SU-122-44 instead, as he's going to be the one doing the significantly larger amount of damage to him there, as this M6 is not having a good opportunity, is not having a good time of getting any damage on this T-44, and indeed just keeping the hill between himself and the possible firing position of that SU allows him just to fire down on this M6 and eventually take him out, doing all of his hit points there and picking up kill number 2. SU-122-44 does fall just in time for Reset to spin himself around and try and get his gun on target with these tanks that are approaching from the rear. But he's got a good contingent of allies to his right here. The Tiger II and that M6 is a little bit beaten up, and his platoon mate in the IS-3. So going to use the confusion here. The enemy team just still pushing these tanks up, and they are being flanked on both sides. He's got that Tiger II in front of them. Reset to one side and the IS-3 to the other. Actually, the IS-3 gets himself taken out by the GW Panther, so Reset's going to have to come up big now. trying to get a shot on the weak spot of that T-34, and then the S-51 comes in for the equalization for the balance there, doing 1200 damage to that T-34 and taking him out. Going to give chase to this Panzer IV's. I think main reason for wanting to give chase is don't really want this guy to get away too far away, and the fact that they've got tanks coming in from the rear here. So this is probably the best of the choice that he could make. Unfortunately leaves the Panzer IV's with just 13 hit points, so he's going to have to continue to give chase and take himself off location. Takes out the Panzer IV's. No idea what I was going to say there, that's why sentence kind of just stopped halfway through. You can see the enemy team is now making inroads towards the Allied base. There's an M6 behind them on the top road. Somehow gotten himself there. Must have gone through the village, through the base, and then arrived at that top road there. But Reset's found the Rheinmetall Borsig now. It's a good hit on the top of him. Looks like that Rheinmettall's just concentrating on trying to take out this 3601, which he does in the end, and that's Reset's eyes gone now. Does get one good hit on him before he has to move forward, and this Rheinmetall's almost certainly going to fade away. There he goes. And not really sure if he's going to go for the base capture or whether he's just moving through the base itself. And Reset using the terrain to his advantage. Does find the M6 now. Both of them looking like they're going for the base capture, as this one is nowhere near as much of a foregone conclusion as it was originally. And it looks like that Tiger II is hunting out the enemy artillery now. Reset's got 25 seconds on the clock, but he only has to land one good hit on this M6. And as we saw earlier, the T-44 is great against M6s and gets a good hit on him. Not going to switch his attention across to the Rheinmetall just yet. Reason for that mainly because the Rheinmetall hasn't got that many cap points himself yet, so it's probably better just to get one gun out of the battle. Does take a hit from the Rheinmetall, but fixes up his tracks now, and he's got a decent amount of time before he gets to reload his cannon. Takes one good hit on him, and really just needs to land one more shot to take out this Rheinmetall, and the Rheinmetall probably doesn't have the alpha damage to be able to take him out. And Reset just uses his speed there to get around him. I think the Rheinmetall's got the gun traverse though, and he aims at the rear of the tank, gets a good hit, but it's not quite enough to take him out, and that is GG and the victory, picking up 5 kills and a monster 5,000 points of damage. So absolutely awesome replay from you. Thank you very much for sending that one in. Don't forget to stick around, because as always, the score screens and another game are coming right up. And our second replay of the day is from the user 2012 player. That is 2012 player, and he's driving the M26 Pershing on a standard battle on Lakeville. M26 Pershing being a tier 8 medium tank for the Americans. Did talk about this one the other day. I'm fairly sure just about how great a tank the Pershing, well, not great, but it's a pretty all-rounder. It's a pretty good tank, the Pershing, especially for its tier, but it leads onto the Patton, which is just one of the most painful stock grinds that you'll ever do in your life. And even when you unlock all of the modules for the Patton, it's not that great. I mean, let's face it, it's no T-54 or E-50 or anything of the sort. So, anyway, on to this replay. 2012 going to be heading to the far right-hand flank into the town straight away, which is pretty par for the course. You only get a few heavy tanks and tank destroyers who go to the left and spotters who go to the centre. So, as this is just a pretty standard drive to the town, we're just going to speed this one up a little bit. So comes in to offer some support to the rear of this ISU. Not quite able to spot anybody out. Does get spotted himself, but the Super Pershing takes the hit instead of himself, the regular Pershing. But the Super Pershing is a big boy and he can take it, so that's fine. So comes around to the south here to offer a little bit of support to the IS-6 and the Tiger II. But again, no real inroads they can make. All of the areas kind of taken by other tanks. So 2012 is going to have to find his own position. Gets a good hit on that Type 59 there. A little bit surprised that one penetrated with the fantastic sloped armor at the front of that Type 59. But then the Pershing does get a pretty good cannon. Looks like this Tiger II wants to set himself up in a side scraping position. But let's face it, 2012 was here first. And this is his corner. Looks like the Allies are pushing forward quite quickly now, so going to come up and try and offer them some support. Would have had a shot on that Tiger II there. Unfortunately, the Tiger I Allied tank getting in the way there, but he does get a shot eventually and gets a nice one through the front of his track there. Does spot out a 3601 on the road. Looks like somebody's managed to take his track out. 3601 does return fire, but it looks like 2012 is the only guy who has a clear shot on the 3601 at the moment. So this is just going to be his damage to take. And take it, he does. Gets 3 good hits on the 3601 and takes him out. But in the meantime, the enemy team has piled a lot of tanks into this area around the cathedral, around this church. So 2012 going to have to move forward and offer some help. Gets a good hit on the T-44. I'm just going to drop back and keep an eye on where he's looking. Looks like he's still looking towards the road there. Didn't quite get any damage that time. The ARL-44 with the super turret has moved up. And he gets himself into a good side-scraping position here. And it's going to be an easy case of taking out this ARL, who just pushed up way too far, way too quickly, and didn't really have the support of his allies. Most of them look like they are kind of pinned in around the north of that church. So as soon as 2012 can deal with this T-44, he should be able to get some good flanking action on the go. Unfortunately, it's just himself squaring off against him. So this one's definitely not going to be as clear cut. It looks like the T-44 has decided to use this opportunity to make a push, because he's got the support of this STA-1. Unfortunately, 2012 also has the support of his teammates. This Tiger I deciding to spin around now. He's going to try and get a hit on the T-44 again, just working down the T-44 first, as he's the one with the lowest hit points. Tiger II not really prioritizing a target himself, though, and goes for this ST-1 instead. Luckily, the enemy team, both of the tanks, both trying to take out this Tiger I, and he's just bouncing everything at the moment, and that just allows 2012 in the background just to put shot after shot into these medium tanks. Going to see if he can get a shot on the T-44, but he's not quite in range, so just going to shoot at this STA-1 instead. And the STA-1 decides that discretion's a better part of valor and starts to back off a little bit. Not quite able to land that shot, which is a little bit unfortunate. And they've still got the considerable force all sort of pinned in around the top here. Trying to get, gets a lovely shot on that Indian Panzer through the brick wall to take him out. And I think people have started to pay attention to this southern flank here. As you can see, the ISU-152 spun himself around, is now pointing his gun down this direction. I think that's just because everybody's kind of jostling for position around the top of that, around the top of the church, and no one's really able to get effective damage down. STA-1 comes back into view, but he's only able to take out the track here on the Pershing. So you're going to use this opportunity to get into a better position. A little bit more hull down. So STA-1 has backed off now, so he's going to see if he's able to get any more hits on these guys. Be nice if he could get some damage on that Tiger II there. It looks like, oh, nope, there we go. Comes into view, but just rushes that one a little bit and plants it into the dirt. The STA-1 now tries to flank around behind the Pershing, but he starts taking fire from that Jag Tiger 88, and then the Tiger II presents himself once again. And now he's kind of caught in a very difficult position because he can't push forward because of the Allied tanks there, and he can't drop back because then 2012 is just going to be able to take him out no problem whatsoever. So really somebody just needs to push in and take those last 25 hit points off him. And there we go. Tiger I's able to take him out in the end. And now we're going to be pushing up for this IS-3. Just keeping his eye on the side streets in case someone is lurking there. Tiger 2 is able to take out that IS-3, and now it's going to be a case of push on for the base. They are winning this one with a considerable lead at 11 kills to 7. STA-1 came back into view, but he didn't have the hit points or the reactions to make anything of it, and he just gets himself taken out. But now the Allied team's got to start paying attention to their own base. As you can see, that Jagdpanther 2 is in there starting off a base capture, and everybody else is kind of making a beeline for the enemy base, not really sure what's going through their heads, because if that Rheinmetall can't reset this, then this is going to be an absolute loss. But everybody's still making a beeline for that enemy base. I think everybody's just seen the Pershing going back here, so assumed that this one is well in hand. It's a lovely hit on the Jagdpanther 2 there to reset him, and that's going to be all she wrote. Even if he doesn't fire another shot, this one is going to be GG, except the Jagdtiger 88's gone straight through the base and decided to come down and try and get some final kills himself. Takes a hit from the Jagdpanther 2, but that one just bounces on the turret, and that's kill number 5, and that just leaves the Jagdtiger on the enemy team. Oh, a little bit unfortunate not to be able to hit his lower glace there, but the Rheinmetall only takes out his track, takes a little bit of damage from him, and he's just got the opportunity now to pick up his Top Gun medal. Can he do it? The Rheinmetall just backing into him for some reason. I don't think he wants to take a hit from the Jagdtiger 88, but 2012 wants to get in there and try and pick up his Top Gun medal. Only has to take one good shot at this Jagdtiger. It looks like he's pointing straight at the Rheinmetall, so if he can just sneak around the side here, I don't think the Tiger realised what was going on, resigned to his fate. He gets taken out, and that's kill number 6. Top Gun medal, the victory, and almost 5,000 points of damage. So absolutely awesome replay there. Thank you very much for sending that one in. Don't forget, guys, if you've got yourself a great replay, then please send that to replay@screenreality.com. A link for that is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, informative, you liked it, or you learned something, then definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and leave me a like and a comment in the comment section below, letting me know exactly what you thought of the 2 replays today. I have been Maxwell, this has been World of Tanks, and I will catch you guys next time.